Good morning and welcome to yet another exciting edition of YouthX Live, brought to you by Nedbank. My name is Pamela Mtanga and I am your host. I'm honored to be a part of such an innovative initiative like YouthX, which is aimed at circumventing the issue of youth unemployment and giving power to the youth by equipping you with all the resources you need to unlock your full potential. In our first episode, we introduce you to our changemakers, who are all dynamic young people with unstoppable potential. If you have not yet watched the first episode, please do yourself a favor and watch it right after this episode on the web app. The web app is loaded with content and connects you with like-minded people, including the changemakers, so you better hop on it. Speaking of changemakers, today we will be taking a deep dive in the world of Candice Chirwa, our changemaker for social good and sustainability. We will lead the conversation with TalkX, followed by a Q&A session, which I do encourage you at home to contribute to. Keep posting your questions on our app, and you could also stand a chance of winning prizes just for asking questions. So followed by Money Talks right after that with our financial expert. Then we close things off with our power panel. Did I also mention the prizes? Stay tuned for that. All I can say is that there are various ways for you to earn points and win with YouthX, from completing a survey, networking with other guests, posting on social media, or even participating in a poll. So the poll questions will be popping up very soon, so you must make sure to vote and keep it unlocked because we have more in store for you. Finally, the TalkX, the official YouthX changemaker for social good and sustainability, Candice Jira, joins us.
My name is Candice Chirwa, and I am a product of democracy. You're probably wondering, what does that mean? Well, I was born in 1995, and I'm what you would classify as a born free. Being born free means we should never have to suffer the way the past generations suffered, that we can be whatever we want or dream to be. The country is waiting to see how we born frees are going to perform on the world stage. The reality, however, is that for the average South African, life is a daily struggle to survive. And we as young people know this. We live in communities where we are plunged into darkness. We live in communities where taps run dry. We also live in communities where to make it as a young person, you're told to have connections. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, what actions do we have to take to ensure that we are moving forward holistically and not just superficially? How do we as young people ensure that we're not breathing through the wound and we can turn our manifestation candles into actual lived realities and dreams? Well, this masterclass is about how we as young people can find and use our purpose to unlock our potential, to give back to communities, to change the trajectory of many lives. In this class, you're going to learn on how to use your purpose into creating a social enterprise. Now, in answering your own purpose, the same can be done for when you want to start your own social enterprise. If you want to learn how to be a change maker through social business, then this YouthX Masterclass will give you all the tips and tricks on how to get started in the social good and sustainability space. As a nation, it's all about joining in. It's all about asking yourself what you can do, big or small, to change the community you live in. And that ultimately is about your purpose. Purpose is about knowing what your guiding star is. Purpose is the part that stays fixed. Your model might change, but your guiding star should be a decision-making tool. No matter the season or the journey you might take, your guiding star will always be there. Knowing your purpose is helpful in focusing. Social entrepreneurs are often drawn to every opportunity because we're highly enthusiastic and opportunistic people. Being clear on your purpose gives you a framework for figuring out your next steps and understanding when to say no. My definition of purpose is the why behind everything that I do. Our why is the purpose, the cause, or the belief that drives people's passion in life. My purpose is to be happy. but my happiness is tied into serving and making a difference in other people's lives. Looking at my own purpose, it is built on the foundation of wanting to educate and empower those around me, to utilize what I know and empower young girls so that gender inequality can be dismantled in the hopes of building a better society for girls, women, and marginalized groups to live in. When we know the why to our life, then the path is very clear and it is very empowering. If you can't figure out your purpose, then you must figure out your passion. Your passion will eventually lead you to your purpose. I want to leave a legacy of having a generation of young people who do not feel afraid to speak openly about social issues that affect them directly. I want to leave a legacy behind where young people are able to make socially responsible choices for themselves because they are educated and uplifted. This is my passion. This is what gets me up every day. There is a difference between your universal purpose, your mission, and your strategy. Purpose is your reason for being. Your mission is what you do, and your strategy is how you plan to do it. So let's get to know the difference between your mission, your purpose, and your strategy. Mission. It is what you do, for whom, who with, and where. What drives you, directs your planning now and in the future. So for example, my nonprofit company, Curate's mission is to enrich young people's lives with informative content through service, education, and advocacy work on a wide range of diverse social topics. Purpose. It is why you do it. This focuses on your contribution. So Curate's purpose is to promote critical thinking in young people to help shape their understanding of their society and to make meaningful impacts within their communities. Strategy. It is how you do it. This will be a high-level method or plan of action that defines the path towards the possibilities of what you can become. So Curate distributes this critical thinking content through workshops. So it is important to ask yourself these 4 questions to discover your own purpose. What's important now? Where are you going and why? Where are you now? And where have you been? It is important to make sure that your social enterprise has a purpose. If everyone in your company is aligned to a common purpose, then they can understand the need for transformation, and this empowers them to embrace it rather than fear it. As a guiding star, purpose becomes the key filter for ideas and decisions. When it comes to a social enterprise, your focus is impact. Make impact your priority instead of profit. Every morning, as the director of your social enterprise, you need to ask yourself, what can I do for the world today? It is also about how you use your resources in a sustainable manner to give back to the community. It is important to view profit as not the enemy, but rather the catalyst to drive social good. Social entrepreneurship involves starting mission-based projects that dedicate some or even all of their profits towards furthering a cause. Again, it's important in asking yourself, what is that need? Why you? And why now? The very first thing you need to do is sit down and articulate the answers to those questions. As you consider the why, there are a couple of things you should do to help clarify your vision and your goals. So start with making a list of frustrating problems that affect you and your community. Think about the sustainable solutions that would solve them. Focus on the available resources that you have and how to use them in a smart and environmentally friendly way. So number 1, do a needs analysis. When you start an entity, in particular a nonprofit, you need to do your research in finding out if other organizations are doing similar work. Are you duplicating programs, or are you improving programs and or adding new and needed services? How many people need this service? Do you meet any special requirements to provide the service, or do you need staff and volunteers who do? Consider both the problem and where you fit into the solution. Number 2, tell your story. When launching your business, part of your key branding element is your company story and how that resonates with your clients, investors, and partners. Your brand needs to inspire the community to become fans of your purpose and mission. When it comes to social enterprise, giving back is good business. You need to captivate your audience with a story and back it up with authentic giving. Remember that your social enterprise has an opportunity to speak to customers in a way that traditional brands can't. Create the noise through storytelling. Be remarkable in gaining your community. Number 3, work on your strategy. Entrepreneurs need to test and prove assumptions, gather data and feedback, and be relentless with growing and improving their business as they scale. It's important in your strategy that there's an addressable problem that is being solved. Positive intentions alone are not enough to make your socially driven business successful. You need to have a strategy. How do you intend on solving the problem that has impacted the community? Part of your strategy needs to prioritize these 3 things: people, planet, and long-term sustainability. And number 4, start with what you have. You don't need an office with 100 employees. You also don't need 500 trucks to start your business idea. If you have a great idea, the passion and determination to make it happen, start with what you have. The learning process will happen within the journey. You don't have to wait for all the stars to align. As long as you have your guiding star, that is enough. Depending on your mission, you can directly implement your plans with change as a social entrepreneur and expand your focus as you grow. But it is really important to ask yourself the following: what am I ultimately giving back to? How will my contributions actually be used? And how does the organization measure success? All these 3 questions are a part of your organization's founding story. This is a tale of why you started your business. It is important to have these written down because it will likely come up again for when you're doing a pitch in securing funding. So refine your story with your purpose in mind and your action plan for creating change. Impact is important, but so is the passion that you bring into your organization. Your passion will directly translate into companies, partners, investors wanting to work with you. The passion also brings in the donations, which supports your programs and services, producing outcomes and impact that changes lives. When you start a social entity, you need to build a solid foundation and put structure in place that will support you to operate effectively and efficiently. Now that you found your 3 Ps, purpose, passion, and the problem, you need to start building. Now, before registering, take the time to establish structure right from the start. So start with your team. If you intend on starting a nonprofit, it must have at least 3 directors to serve the entity. Registering your nonprofit organization is free and takes roughly 2 months with the Department of Social Development after you filled out a form online. Registering an NPO is beneficial because it will improve your credibility and funding opportunities, allow your charity to open a bank account, and can help with tax incentives. If you want to register a nonprofit company, you can register with the CIPC, and your NPC will be treated like a typical business, but the primary objective is to benefit the public and not to make a profit. The NPC and NPO coexist in the South African legal environment, although they are commonly mistaken for one another. They mainly differ in the way they are registered, as in how they come into existence, but their objectives are quite similar, if not identical. One main difference is that an NPC can register as an NPO, but an NPO cannot incorporate a company. I'd recommend that you choose directors that can contribute to the founding of the organization in different roles and responsibilities. You might want to consider having one director who will deal with the legal and organizational capacity, and having another director who deals with the marketing and communication aspect. It is important that the people you onboard have different roles and capabilities so that the delegation of tasks will be easy. Once you build your mission, you can build your brand. What is the look and feel of your entity? And most importantly, what is the name of your entity? There are cool and free applications like Canva and Trello where you can create your brand identity. Logo, email signatures, presentations, flyers, posters, you name it. So take the time to establish this identity. Now onto budget. Will you and your directors invest a personal capital into your kickstarting your organization, or will you apply for grants? For the first 6 months of Curate's existence, I had to use personal funding in ensuring that the impacting communities could start. It was a sacrifice. but I knew that the guaranteed return on investment would be social impact and garnering social awareness. So don't be afraid. It can be intimidating, and at times the cost can make you feel that your idea is too expensive, but it isn't. There is always a way to achieve your goals. You can do your research to discover grants. You can also network within business communities that want to collaborate with social entities. So now you've gotten your ducks in the row, you've registered your nonprofit, and now what do? You raise awareness. People need to jump on board in supporting your cause because without resources, you can't get your new venture off the ground. This is when that mission statement comes in. You'll need to pitch your mission to earn funds. Fundraising is important. You need to let people know about the difference your nonprofit will make and how they can get involved. Earlier, I mentioned pitching. Doing a pitch is extremely important for your social enterprise and gaining funding. A pitch is a presentation of a business idea to potential investors. People pitch a business because they need resources. If the goal is to raise startup cash, the target of the pitch is an investor. Other businesses pitch to potential customers to sell their product. Finally, some organizations pitch because they need a partner or resource to help them accomplish their mission. Social enterprises are accountable to the cause they support, which means setting aside profits to invest in increasing profits. As social entrepreneurs, we have to be creative with how we raise our money. There are various ways. Crowdfunding is a popular opinion. Crowdfunding websites such as Kickstarter, BackaBuddy, GoFundMe not only help you raise money to get your idea off the ground, but also expose your mission to a community that exists on the very premise of supporting projects and causes they believe in. There are also a growing number of grants that you can apply for if your social enterprises meets the specific requirements. In certain cases, it is best to ensure that your idea that you've created has been tested in the communities you intended to help, so that investors have the evidence that your idea works. Thus, it is important to market your mission. When testing your idea and giving back to communities, it is important that the transparency is at the center of your marketing. Your audience needs to know that they can be able to trust your entity in giving back to the community. Thus, it is important to adopt certain marketing strategies to be effective in generating awareness. You are marketing your mission, not just your entity. So digital media and the internet enable storytelling. From shooting videos to sharing photos on social media, social enterprises can leverage on creating content and sharing real stories of the impact they're making and provide proof that your work is real and has left some good in the world. If you already have a community in mind, visit it and film a documentary-style video, or create an infographic for a date-based illustration of your impact and why your vision of change is needed. There are ample of ways one can spread its mission and tell its story through content. You should also have a plan to show the impact that the nonprofit is having on the issues at hand and have documentation available to the public at all times. So, for instance, whenever the Curate team has to head out to serve the community, we capture the activities on the ground. All of the footage is then saved onto a drive, which can later be used for either social media posts or presentation purposes for any funding opportunities. It is so important that you document everything and keep it in a safe place that only you and your trusted team members have access to. But make sure you're not giving away too much. You need to protect your intellectual property. The reality is the world needs social entrepreneurs to give back, but it can also be cruel. I have to be honest in that people can steal your ideas if you give away too much. So make sure when marketing your mission, you are sharing content that gives us an idea of what is being done without giving away too much information that can have people duplicate your ideas. If you are creating workshops in ending gender-based violence, make sure you show us bits of the workshop instead of filming the whole event and uploading it on a public platform. Protect what you create at all costs. The bottom line is that starting a new social enterprise requires a good bit of thought and effort, but having a solid structure that links your purpose makes you far more likely to succeed. You can't see into the future, but you can do your best to prepare for it. Since starting Curate almost 4 years ago, the perceptions on social issues, in particular periods, has changed. We engaged with over 300 participants in Gauteng through our workshops, and we're only getting started. It took a lot of grit and determination, but I knew that I needed to make a change in the lives of young people. So my question to you is, what are you waiting for? Go and change communities.
As you have heard, the question is, what are you waiting for? How inspiring. Candice, please come and join me.
Hey.
Looking stunning as always.
Thank you.
I see you. I'm inspired by the work that you do. It's enormous and the impact is just so remarkable. So I want you to take us through a Q&A right now.
Sure.
It's going to be lit, actually.
I'm excited.
Because from the comment section, if
Yes.
the comment section is anything to go by, people absolutely loved the talk. And thank you to Nedbank as well for providing us with this platform to ensure that your work transcends beyond the channels it has reached already. So let me go through this Q&A. I love the comments. Shout out to everybody. I want to mention you guys by names because I really love the engagement. Litohonolo, Mandilake, I see you, Nokutula, Marshall, Xavier, all of you guys. Thank you so much. I want us to go to our first question for the day. And it reads, how do I use my potential to change lives through social enterprises?
I think as young people, we are so in tune with what's happening in the world and plugged into social media that leads us to being very busy in our lives, that we don't have enough time to connect within ourselves and finding our inner purpose. So I think it's really about finding the meaning to your life. And it's asking yourself every day when you wake up and just saying, what am I doing? And what do I intend on doing? And also visualizing. I see a lot of us, we like doing that 11-11. So you need to also do the 11-11 to your life, right? And just say, where do I see myself in the next 5 to 10 years, and visualize
and
that
not
for
just
yourself.
put it out on social media. Actually do it.
Actualize it and do it. Do the work and it'll come for you. So it's really just about taking the time before you plug into social media or anything that keeps you busy. Just journaling and saying, am I fulfilling my meaning and purpose today?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned about journaling, because earlier on you were actually so adamant about journaling when you wake up in the morning. Like, take us through that journaling process, because I actually struggle with journaling. Sometimes I just write my feelings and be like, okay. That's good. But how do you intentionally journal about your work, or just dedicating your intentions towards your career path?
It's like how we underestimate breathing, Breathing is so fundamental for us to live. And I think it's the same thing with journaling, because you're actually bringing sort of some form of actuality to your thoughts and your dreams. So every morning I just wake up and I just take, it can either be your phone, your memo, your notes, or even just a physical diary, and just write, what is it that I want to do today? How am I feeling? And where do I see myself at the end of the day? Because then that will allow you to make sure that everything you do from the moment you leave bed or from the moment you leave the house to go to work, that you're fulfilling and aligning with what your manifestation was for that day. So honestly, when you wake up, it's literally just taking 5 minutes, writing it down, and just asking yourself, what is it that I want to achieve for today, and how is that aligning me to my vision?
Yes. I think we should remove our journals from the cupboard and place them next to us in bed, right?
Yeah,
in
just stick them up there, stick it on your wardrobe if you need to, even stick it on your mirror when you wake up. I think affirming yourself also helps, because then it's giving you the positivity to achieve your goals as well. I think often a lot of times as social entrepreneurs and young people, we really doubt ourselves. We tell ourselves, it's not possible, I can't do it, am I the right person for the job? But if every morning you wake up and you say, I am kind, I am blessed, I'm smart, I can do anything, until it becomes so normal for you.
Yes.
You will literally be able to do anything.
Affirmations.
Yeah, they're key.
So 11-11 in real life, in actuality.
Yes.
I love that. So the question that I would like to ask you before we go deeper into more of these questions, take me through the day when you decided that today's a good day to start my NGO. Because I think a lot of people have the will to say, I can do it. I think, I've received all the advice, especially after a talk. Like, I don't know anyone, if anyone at home can attest to this, but after a talk, you're like, I can do it. But the next morning, it's like, so take us through that day when you decided today is the day when I'm starting.
So, I mean, thankfully, I was able to go to university and be aligned with, a lot of academia. And I think what I was seeing within the academia background was that we write a lot of content, but there's no action on the ground.
Yes.
And I saw that there's a lot of social issues that academics and researchers have, but there's no, I've got this information, let me go on the ground and change communities. So that is why Curate was created. We really pride ourselves on edu-liftment, which is like a cohesion of education and upliftment for young people. So we take any social issue that's impacting young people directly. So for instance, menstruation. I took my research and I realized that when young girls start menstruating, they realize they're going to die for the first time. And I'm like, I need to change that. I'm going to do workshops on the ground so that young girls feel empowered when it happens for the first time. And that change is so pivotal to society because now we're creating a generation of upcoming menstruators who won't feel afraid by this natural function. So it was really academia, it was really reading, it was really researching and seeing all these issues that are affecting our communities and saying, I'm going to do something about it and I'm going to do it in a different way, And I really enjoy the workshops we do because we really allow young people to take the content and own the content for themselves instead of us just throwing it down on them. And it's been a phenomenal journey and we're only getting started.
Oh, I love that. We're only getting started. Please do keep those questions coming for Candice. I have a really nice follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
So now that you have started, how do you keep the fire burning? That's basically what she's asking.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid getting into a rut once the startup energy runs out? Because now you're already in there. You're like, yes, I'm fueled. But now you're like, okay, where to from here?
It's honestly, you take it day by day.
Okay.
I think with an organization, you will learn a lot of lessons, but you shouldn't be too hard on yourself. I think more than anything, you should be gentle with yourself in this learning journey. I know, for instance, with Curate, like there's times when we hit ruts where we're like, for instance, COVID. COVID hit us very hard last year because we couldn't do face-to-face workshops. And so the realization was we have to take it from physical to online. And you do go through those mental ruts, but you turn that rut into inspiration and motivation to say there are people that are dependent on you and people need you to change the world. So let that be your motivation. Because for any business, either be it like you're selling burgers or you're selling shoes, people depend on you.
Yes.
And that should be your motivation every day.
I love
what am
that.
I going to do to change the world? Even if it's you're selling jewelry, what are you going to do to make people pop out with your jewelry? What are you going to do with people standing with your makeup? You have some form of social aspect with your business. So always remember that you're serving people and people depend on you.
And I think if I'm taking anything out of this entire session before it even ends, you as a business or you as a brand have to know that people depend on you. That is the motivation you should go with. I absolutely love it. So the next question for me would be, how do you then, now that you are in this space, sometimes you're a nobody. Nobody really knows you. How can you then set yourself apart? Do you network? Which events do you go to? Which meetings do you go to? Do you go to Sandton City to just chill out and see if there will be a potential investor there, or do you just suss out where to go?
I think it's really about aligning yourself with the communities that are involved in the impact that you want to bring. So honestly, joining like-minded people, following those people, seeing if there are any events that they're hosting and registering for those events, participating in those events, and never feeling afraid to literally flex your business. That's essentially what it is. Every day, your mission and founding story, your impact, your goals should be here so that you can just pitch it to anyone, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're actually going to see who's going to be like, hey, I have an idea and I want to work with you. So always make sure that you're ready to flex your business, no matter who big or who small the person is. Never ever underestimate that ability to flex.
I love it. So you always have to be ready. So you don't wait for a particular event. You could literally be in a taxi and be like, hey,
Stay ready.
this is what I'm working on.
Stay ready wherever.
Stay ready wherever. I love it. So I have another question from Rourke. It goes, isn't the whole point of social enterprise to spread good? And if someone were to steal your idea, would that not be a good thing in achieving your true mission and purpose? That is a really good question.
Yeah.
That is a really good question because now I'm just like, you stole my idea, but you're doing good.
Yeah, you see, it's no matter what happens in the world of entrepreneurship, you have to protect your intellectual property.
Yes.
So even if your idea is people will buy shoes and every time they buy shoes, you donate shoes to school children, make sure that the idea of the creation of the shoes, make sure the branding of your entity is yours and
How
yours
you plan
only.
on doing it,
Your plan is essentially yours, and essentially it's so important that you just keep it locked. And it's also, especially with your team members should also keep it locked. The only information you should be giving out is your marketing and also your pitching. That flexing is really important. So I think it's, in the world that we live in with social media, people can very easily tell when you've copied and pasted an idea, right? So if someone's like, hey, isn't this similar?
Yes.
People will be able to tell, but that shouldn't stop you from starting your business. It shouldn't stop you from giving back. And essentially, if you are doing the same thing that someone in America is doing or someone next door is doing, you're still impacting a community.
Yes.
So long as the branding and the marketing is different, then you're fine.
Oh, I love it. I think we have another question from Yolanda Mabusela. What are some of the challenges you have faced in your journey as a social entrepreneur? Did someone steal your idea?
I mean, I haven't had any stealing of ideas because I luckily work with a team that is really adamant on protecting your intellectual property. But I think what I have faced as a young black woman is people tend to underestimate you, and it's really unfortunate when you walk into boardrooms or you walk into business meetings and people look at you and you're like, aren't you too young to be here? And you have to really prove yourself. You have to work 10 times harder just to achieve half of what other people are getting. And so I think that's just something that I've mentally had to conquer, just saying that I'm worthy of being here and that there are people who rely on me. There are a lot of young people in particular that rely on Curate to just give back. So there's no way I can give up. So I just take away that imposter syndrome and I just keep on moving. Yeah.
I love it. Get rid of that imposter syndrome. Okay. Thank you. And that's on period. We have another question here for Marshall. He's asking, how do you avoid getting into a rut once the startup energy runs out? I think we actually answered this question. Thank you, Marshall. Marshall is too excited. That's my problem with you, Marshall, but I absolutely love it because you might just win one of our really amazing prizes. I'm seeing you. I have another one here.
Yeah.
I think Modise has a comment rather. Always be ready to flex your idea. Takes us back to what Candice said, that is important to document your ideas because you can take them everywhere with your smart device. Absolutely love it.
And I think with the content in particular, when you're giving back to communities, it's really important that you document. Even if you have a smartphone, take videos, take pictures, and then upload it on a drive where you can save it. But also make sure that the curation, see what I did there? Curation of the content comes out nice so that you can post it on social media. Yes. And you remember, you are building a following of fans. You want people to love your idea and want to volunteer. And as you grow, you'll realize that there are people who want to join your movement.
Yeah.
I mean, most of our Curate facilitators are people who followed our page and were like, I love what you do. Can I join? And it's because we documented. So it's so important. Just create that content.
Amazing. I have one last question for you, and I think it's related to our last point. Nomfundo is asking, what are some of the mistakes made by social entrepreneurs that make them vulnerable to IP theft?
I think it's announcing plans before they have been implemented, right? So when you are creating your ideas and you're still at typing phase, you're still at business plan phase, keep it to yourself, but only announce the plans once it's been implemented, right? So announce the fact that you have an NGO and there's social medias and people can follow. Don't announce the idea before the idea has been implemented because people can easily take it. Anyone with money can just take it. So you'd rather just keep it to yourself, and when you're ready, and you'll always be ready, never doubt that you'll never be ready. You just post, create that social media account, create that social awareness, and then show the idea through the content, and people will follow you through that. So make sure you just protect your IP and don't announce too soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to Nedbank for giving us this platform for Candice to share all the good work she is doing. How can people find you on social media and be a part of the conversation?
So you can follow the Minister of Menstruation at Candice_Chirwa on Instagram and Twitter. And follow me, slide into my DMs. The DMs are always open to give advice and help people.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, we are going to the leaderboard. The leaderboard is my favorite part of everything because... Okay, there we go. Okay, Modise Muremi, we see you at 107 points. Litlohonolo at number 2 with 101 points, and Ncebo Mtia at 101 points as well. You ladies and gents better keep those votes coming in, asking questions, keep the chat alive because we love to hear from you. And also, there are prizes up for grabs, so do not forget that part. Okay, so next up, we are going to go into a really exciting, engaging break right now. So we are going into account opening. Who wants to get their money right and set themselves up for the future? This is how you can do it. There you go. So you click on the hamburger menu on the top left of your screen, select open an unlock.me account. If you are on mobile, scroll to the bottom of the page and select open a bank account or bundle. Insert your age and follow the steps and you'll be ready to go with your unlock.me account. Take your nice picture over there. Love it. It also recognizes your face so that anyone is not able to go into your app. So if you're on the desktop, click on open unlock.me account, click on apply on the top right of your screen, click on bank, then accounts and bundled offerings. Show me all accounts. Scroll down to unlock.me, start your application, and you're ready to go. Amazing. Oh, yes. So remember to keep interacting with us on the app because there are awesome prizes up for grabs courtesy of our partners, Fashion Fusion, Jukes, Sphinx, Bidvest Waltons. Yes, amazing. So if you believe in the saying, put your money where your mouth is, then this one is for you. If you don't, then you better start believing in it because now more than ever, we owe it to ourselves to educate ourselves about money, how to be savvy, how to stretch your money in a pandemic, or as a budding changemaker, how to make smart decisions with your money when embarking on an entrepreneurial journey. Joining us for our second session, Money Talk, is Nedbank's Head of Financial Education, Wendy Selebi.
Thank you, Pamela. Well, welcome to the first ever YouthX Live Money Talk. Today, we're going to be talking all things wonderful, all things about money, whether you call it mula, machankura, chelete, imali, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about your rands and your cents. We want to talk to you around how you can partner with Nedbank to start seeing your money differently, to start looking at that money and allowing us to partner with you through YouthX Live to see your money differently. And then we will bring our money expertise and voila, we start talking and we start building. So I just want to say to you that today we're building the foundations. We're starting to talk around what are those building blocks that we have to have in place in order for us to be able to build a solid structure. You do know that when you build, you need to have a solid structure. So what we will be doing with you today. We will be building. And we will be building. And you know, as you build, the structure grows. So I'd like to open with a quote that I really like by Mark Twain. It says, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Wow. What Mark Twain, I'd like to twist it around and say, the most important day in your life is the day that you find out what your financial why is. WHY. So this talk will also help you talk around your rants, make them make sense to you, so that when they make sense to you, you can be able to connect with other young people, start talking to them, and then we start empowering each other, because that's what this platform is all about. So when we talk about your why, we really are talking about purpose. And the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines purpose as the reason something exists. Your intended goal, your aim. What is your aim with your money? What is your aim with your rands and your cents? How do you take the little that you have and unlock the potential and multiply it to grow? You need purpose. And then from purpose, you birth what we call a vision. And probably you're asking, what is vision? Vision is a picture of a preferred future. What you want to see your rands achieve for you. Obviously, you must have goals, because once you understand what your why is, you get your purpose, and you have your vision, then you start thinking around, how do I take what I have in my hand? How do I multiply it to make sure that I achieve my vision? I always say to people, never underestimate what you have in your hands. How much rands do you have in your hands? How much are you prepared to work with that money to unlock the potential that it can bring for you? So, as I've said, your why is your purpose. And the importance of discovering your why and understanding what your purpose is, number one, is that your purpose or your why will connect you to your financial purpose. I think I asked you a question. What is your financial purpose? So when you have purpose, then it will connect you. Not only that, it connects you to your heart. You know, when things are connected from the head to the heart, then you are able to work them with the knowledge and the skills that you will be acquiring from all the information, from all the influencers, from everything that you'll be sourcing on the Unlocked.me platform. The second thing is that your why becomes your compass. What it does, it directs where you go. You know, when you have a compass, it then shows you if you're going off course, it brings you back. So when you have a financial why, if you're going off course, your purpose brings you back. It kind of helps you to put on blinkers. I like to use the analogy of race horses. When you look at them in the turnstile, waiting to go off before the race starts, they've got their blinkers on. Why do they have their blinkers on? It's because the blinkers are to help them not to focus on the sides. So when you have a purpose, a financial purpose, nothing will make you move away. So your purpose will keep you towards the vision, towards what you want to achieve with your rands and with your cents. And also, your purpose is the key to financial liberation. But all of us want to be free. All of us want to attain this life. I think most of you are going to tertiary, are doing all sorts of things because you want to unlock your purpose, you want to unlock your life, you want to go to higher places. Like you've just heard Candice, she had to think. She had a big purpose. And when you actually have a big purpose, it's so easy with the why, because with the how, because then you follow with the how, with the what, with the when. All of those become easy because you've got a purpose and you are connected. What I want to say to you is that your rands can become powerful in your hands. You can partner with us as we help you see your money differently, as you take your money so that it unlocks your life, it unlocks the things that you want to achieve. And there are simple, basic things that you start by doing. I think most young people receive grants from their bursaries, from NFSAs, from their parents. The important thing is that when you have a financial purpose, the first thing that you do is that you put aside something. My grandfather, when I was growing up, he taught me that, Wendy, when you eat, if somebody gives you a plate of food, never ever eat the whole plate and even lick the gravy. What you must do, you must always leave something. And that's what you do with your money. You can start looking at your money differently. Every time you're having a meal, think of me. Don't eat everything and then plate and lick everything off. Leave something. That's what we call saving. You take a little bit, you take your rands, you connect them to your purpose, you connect them to your vision, and then you start putting away a little bit. When you save, those are your building blocks. You are saying, I've got this big vision. This is where I want to go to, but I'm going to start little by little, and you build, and then you save. And there's a myth out there that when you save, you need to have a lot of money. That is wrong. I'm here to tell you that when you save, you can start as little as 50 rands or 100 rand. That money you are going to buy a takeaway with, if you start the year and you didn't have 100 rands, and you start putting away 100 rands for 12 months, at the end of the year, you've saved up 1,200. It's as simple as that. But in order for you to save, you have to give up something that you really like. If it's that coffee, if it's that beer, for you who are not even supposed to be drinking at your age, I'm old school. If it's buying takeaway, take that money. Put it aside. You'll be amazed at the end of the year what you have done. Wow, you have unlocked your purpose. You've already unlocked that vision of going big, of achieving the things that you've always wanted to achieve. And then you move to what we call investing. Wow, that's powerful. When they talk about investors, you always think it's these money that have got people who've got money bags who walk into the bank and they close the door because they want to attend to them. Investing is when you take that 1,200 and then you start thinking around, what are the other things that I can put this money so that it can unlock more value? And we are there to walk the journey with you every step of the way. Or you can think, okay, I've saved enough, I've invested enough. What else can I do? Probably you need to start a side hustle. If you look at the youth unemployment, it's at its highest. And I think most of the young people are waiting that when I complete my degree and then somebody else is going to employ me. Things have changed. You take that money that you've saved, that money that you've invested, you put it into something that you really love. I started a side hustle. I love shoes. Boy, you can come to my house. I've got them in all kinds and all shapes and all colors. And just like that, we're back. I think the financial advice was so hot that we broke the internet. So what I want to do now is just to recap so that I can be sure that you didn't miss out on some of the stuff that I was talking about. We spoke about purpose. We spoke about how your purpose will connect you to the things that you want to achieve, your vision, that you can take your money and you can unlock your potential with the money that you have in your hands. We spoke about how your purpose, we spoke about how your vision becomes your compass for life. It becomes the compass that really structures how you manage your finances. We spoke about if your why is big enough, then your how is so much easier. Then you are able to take your rands and start to multiply them, to unlock the purpose, to unlock the potential by making sure that you achieve those dreams that you have for yourself. And then I think when I broke the internet, I was really talking about saving. And I was saying that a lot of people have got this myth that when you save, you need to have a lot of money. I'm here to tell you that you can save with as little as 50 rand. If you have vision, if you have purpose, if you are seeing that 50 rand differently and you apply the money expertise that we can give you, then you can multiply it to become whatever you want it to become. I just want to say, if you start saving, for example, with 100 rands, when you start, you have nothing, and you start putting away 100 rands, at the end of the year, what you have achieved is 1,200 rands. You've saved something. And the concept and the psychology of saving is a very simple one. You know, my grandfather, he taught me when I was growing up, every time he gave me a plate of food, he would watch me eating. And then before I finish off eating, he would say, my child, live a piece. You can't eat everything. Don't be those people that eat everything and even lick the gravy off the plate. And that's what you must do with your money. You must apply that prudence. Every time you eat, you must think of me. Don't eat everything. So your parents give you a stipend, NEFSAS, or your bursary is giving you some form of money. Start looking at that money differently. You have to give up something in order for you to acquire what you want that is purpose-driven and vision-inspired. So you start looking at your money and you say, if I have this much, how much am I going to put away? So that if you were used to buying cigarettes, stop smoking. I'm old school. If you were going to buy coffee, take that money, put it away. Put away 50 rands. Put away 100 rands. At the end of the year, you've saved up something. And when at the end of the year, when you look at the money that you've saved, if it is just above 1,000 rand, wow, you've actually entered the investing market. So you can start thinking around, how do I invest this money? How do I unlock it to give me even greater things? I think growing up, we had the idea that if you are an investor, you are these people who come with a truck or in a car, and then your bodyguards come out and they close off the bank, and then you walk in, you sit there, the manager and everybody in the bank is focusing on you. I'm here to tell you that an investor is someone that's got just above 1,002 and above. You can start investing in any of the products that we have that will then catapult your money to grow even much bigger. So you start off with the building block of saving. Then when you get that right, you move into investing. And if you are there and you've invested enough, you can actually look at this money and think, how do I make these rents to make sense for me? What prudence can I apply to this money? Okay, probably let me do something that I really love. What I did, I started a side hustle. I love shoes. I've traveled the world to attending international shoe fairs just because of a side hustle that I started. I took the little money that I had, I gave it a different view, and I thought, how do I unlock this money? So I started this side hustle, started selling shoes, and there I started growing. If you come to my house, I have all sorts of shoes and all kinds. You can do that as well. You know, if you look at the economy, the youth are the ones that are more unemployed than anyone else. The unemployment rate is very high. Why do you, as a young person, want to go to university, spend 3, 5, 7 years, and then queue and wait for someone to employ you? Why don't you do something that you are passionate about? Candice started something out of her passion, and today she's doing great work. You too can do that. All you need to do is to start looking at your rents differently, see your money differently. Talk to us. Visit unlocked.me. Attend all of these YouthX conversations. You will definitely meet all the influencers, and they will inspire you to unlock your potential. And what I love is that when you've unlocked your potential, you affect the next person, you affect your family, you affect your community, and then all of a sudden, we have this nation of people who have discovered their potential, who have discovered their purpose, that they have a big vision, that they can take their money, they can look at it from a different lens and grow it and multiply it. Finally, I want to leave you with these words. What is your financial purpose? What is it that you want to achieve with your money? The unlocked.me is the place to be. They say, the young people say, it's a place where it's lit. I say to you, we hope to see you in the next 6 weeks as we get more financial experts to come and talk to the topics that are burning, the issues that you'd like us to address for you. Thank you very much for listening.
Amazing. Thank you so much for such an inspiring talk, Mum Wendy. Social media is buzzing because of you. Apparently, you're lit and you're breaking the internet. Yes. Absolutely love to see it. I want us to go into a question and answer session right now. I think the first question that is posed for you is, let's see it. I would like to ask Miss Wendy, let's say you want to change your financial situation, but you already have some debts or expenses more than your income. How do you start to turn around such a financial situation? And that question is from Modise Muremi.
Sure, Modise. And I like that. I love that question because I think a lot of people find themselves, we've just had the pandemic. Besides the pandemic, we were never taught the principles of financial management. We were never taught what credit is all about. Yes. And so the first thing that you do when you start work, or even before, you already have 3 credit cards, you've got 6 accounts, and before you know it, you are overwhelmed. I always say there's the best tool that you can use, and it's called a budget. And people get tired of hearing us talking about a budget, but the budget is the most important and powerful tool that you can use to manage the finances that you have. With your budget, you are able to then sit down. And I think I was listening to Candice and I was quite fascinated because she was talking about the 11 and the 11s, and then she was talking about journaling. I'm old school. I believe that you take a pen and you take a book and you start, Modise, by writing down all your debt. Once you've done that, you look at it, and when you write it down, you literally write, I owe Joe Soap 5,500. My installment is 3,500. The interest rate that Joe Soap is charging me is 21%, and my installment is 500 rands. So you write down all your debts. Once you've done that, you look at them and you think, okay, which one can I attack first? Yes. And then you look at the one either with the lowest balance or the one with the highest interest. You can work it out. And then the next thing you do, if you're overwhelmed, you take that phone, you call them. You call them. They don't call you. Wow. You don't run away from that 087 number. You call them, you say, hello, it's me. Can I tell you, Batum, I can't afford to pay you that 1,005. I can only afford to pay you 1,000. So you renegotiate. And then when you do that, you take that money, you start attacking your debts one by one, slowly. I think when you build them up, you were in a hurry, you were eating like that person, and now when you pay them off, it will take time. It will take determination and will take a little bit of time, but you can do it. It's possible.
Absolutely love it. And also remember the food analogy. Don't everything. Don't even suck in the gravy. Don't do that. I love that analogy so much.
Gravy.
The beetroot gravy. I absolutely love it. Mom Wendy, I want to ask before we get anywhere, where can people find you on socials? Are you on socials? Because you seem like you're very woke.
I am woke. I am on Instagram.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, boy. Don't ask me about my handle because Candice asked me earlier and I said, well, you find the handle. But I am. My name is Wendy Selebi. I'm there. I am on Facebook and you can find me.
Because I asked you this question because I really want to ask you, do you use your platform to share more about financial advice, or how can people get a hold of you on that front? Because Candice was literally like, I need Miss Wendy as my financial advisor.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people are feeling like that.
So a lot of the people that are watching here will find us also on unlock.me because there is an education segment and we'll make sure that we are available there to answer all their questions, to engage. I think, as I said, we're building, and as we're building, we make ourselves available. We'll use our money expertise for them so that they can do good for others.
Amazing. I absolutely love it. So when it comes to starting a business, I think building on the question that Modise, just asked, building on that question, how do you then start a business when you're already in debt? I think most people are already in debt, so it kind of discourages you from starting your business. How do you then start your business? Do you first take care of the debt and then delay you starting your business, or how do you maneuver and circumvent those issues?
You know that process that I just described about you paying off your debt systematically?
Yes.
As soon as you've paid off one debt, then you've got some money that you freed up. Let's say you freed up 2,000 Rand as an example. So what you do is you take probably 1,000 Rand, you start attacking your other debts, and then you can take the other 1,000 Rand, and then you can start saving it either towards the business that you want to start, or you save towards that. If probably you want to sell handbags, there are so many places now that sell handbags. If you've got 1,000 Rand, you can definitely buy 10 handbags and then you sell them at double that price, and then you take a portion of that, you pay off your debts, the other portion you restock. So that's how you start getting it. But I would advise that you do both. As you pay off your debts, you start something. That will be the fuel that gets your money now starting to work for you. So what are you doing? You're unlocking on both sides. I love that. I love it myself.
And you have a shoe business, and I think our youth is so engrossed in trying to get side hustles in, and I think with the youth unemployment at the moment, you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm just here, I really need a job in order to start. But I love how you emphasize that you can actually start with what you learned from your degree and just start working. So I want to find out from you, when was the point that you decided, this one is a really good side hustle for me. I love shoes, let's go. When was the time that you decided?
So I looked at the money. I had received a bonus at work, and I looked at it, and then I thought, let me apply some sense to these rents that I've received. They gave me this amount of a bonus. I think I was worth this amount.
Yes.
So then I thought, okay, how do we unlock this? And I thought, what do I like? What is it that I like? From day one when I started working, the first thing I did on payday was to go to Barnes. Then they had Barnes shoe and Spitz. I went to Spitz, I bought a pair. I went to Barnes and I bought a pair. So I've always loved shoes. And I thought, why not do what I love? So I thought, I'm going to unlock the potential for me with this money that I have. So I thought, okay, how do I start this business? So I wrote to the embassy of the country I wanted to go to. I wrote them an email. I said, hey, people, it's me, Wendy, your girl. They didn't even know who I was. I said, here, I'd like to go to this country. I'd like to start selling shoes. And of course, they came back to me and they said, of course, when you go there, these are the 4 places you can go to. Take this letter with you. And off I was. I bought a ticket and off I was. And then I went and I bought shoes. And I told everybody, So Candice said you mustn't share your ideas when they're premature. Well, I told people, I said, well, I'm going to get shoes. What do you want? What do you want? And I'm going to make it personal. Tell me what you want. And they all told me.
Wow.
And then I came back with those shoes. And the very same day that I came back, they bought everything. So that's how I started my side hustle. I did something that I truly loved. And you can do that too. What is it that you love?
What is it that you love? And with that as well, what is your financial purpose? What is your financial why? Thank you so much, Wendy. It's been a pleasure having you around. I can't wait to see her social media because I think it might be lit. Exactly that. Might be lit. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is time for us to check out our leaderboard right now because you guys have been buzzing on the comment section, absolutely loving Candice. People are still raving about Candice. I absolutely love it. It also goes to say that Nedbank really knows how to pick them. And then let's see how the leaderboard is going. Rourke is leading at 143 points, followed by Modise. Modise, you have been dethroned. You have been dethroned. I absolutely can't wait to see what will happen next in terms of the results. I see Lebo as well, Mashadi. Guys, you better pick up because there are really awesome prizes to be won. To find out more about YouthX, remember to visit the unlock.me website. Okay. Tell me how much time do we have? When like-minded people unite, great stories are shared, knowledge is imparted, and inspiration is derived. And that's what we hope to achieve with our next session. People from different walks of life who are changemakers in their own right and all handpicked by Nedbank to bring you this power panel.
Well, welcome to it right here. Thank you so much, Pamela, for facilitating and hosting us this morning. Really great having you. So should it mention, it is a power panel indeed, and I'd like to introduce the ladies. You've heard them previously. You've listened to their talks, but let's reintroduce them again. And of course, to my right, we've got Wendy Selebi, who is the head of financial education at Nedbank. We've got Candice Chirwa, who is our change maker in the social good and sustainability space. And of course, we have Lerai Rakoditsoe, who's also our change maker, giving us a big wave there. So we are hoping to make this conversation as interactive as possible. If you have any questions, you can start thinking about them now and empowering them right through for that Q&A session that we'll get into a little bit later on. But ladies, because we want to make this as interactive and engaging as possible for our viewers, please feel free to comment on each other's points, whether you agree or disagree, and perhaps we can walk away learning from each other, and that is the space we do want to create over here. Wendy, I'm going to start off with you. I mean, I was listening to some of the points that you were mentioning, and I'm curious to know, when did your journey start as somebody in the financial education space? I mean, how did you know that this is it for me?
So, my journey started really when I was doing the work that I do at Nedbank. I was appointed at one stage to be the head of consumer financial education, which is the one that we do with the FSCA and the Banking Association of South Africa, where we go into communities and we educate them on financial matters, So before the bank could set up a branch in a place, I mean, we went to places I had never heard about. We went to places like Tiki Line. I didn't know there's a place called Tiki Line. We went there. We went to the Eastern Cape, and we were educating communities about basic financial literacy. And then, my love for that grew. And I thought, wow, this is so awesome, because growing up, my parents never had financial talks with me. So here I was talking to parents, talking to children, talking to communities, and really enlightening them. And I think for me, just seeing one life changed by just giving information and knowledge and the skill, that's what drew me into the education space. But I think more than anything, I then came to realize that in my financial journey, I made a lot of mistakes because I did not have the right skills, the right knowledge, because you need a combination of those in order for you to be successful. And I think that's why today I started with the basics, because probably someone out there might think, I wanted her to talk about cryptocurrency. I wanted her to talk, you can't talk about sushi when you haven't really learned how to drink milk. So today what I did was to lay the foundation, to say it starts first with a purpose and a vision, and then you can build on it.
We'll come back to that topic around, the honest conversations that we should be having with our parents around how we view money and our relationships with money. But Candice, let me come to you. I mean, you're in an interesting space where you're doing social good, sustainability, and you're doing really well. And with so many community issues that are out there, what is it about that space where you are looking at menstruation that stuck it with you and said, this is the one that I want to try and solve?
I think it's through my love of reading, reading and researching and just constantly reading issues that direct me effectively. But I found that obviously I come from a very privileged space, so what can I do to give back to those who aren't privileged? And the one statistic that stuck with me was that 30% of schoolgirls in South Africa miss out on school because of their period. And it's a natural and biological function. Why is this the case? And so digging deeper and looking at the policy, and there's a lack of policy, and seeing that it's under-researched, I felt the need to bring some form of awareness to this, because this is something that needs attention in society. This is something that needs leaders to talk about. This is something that we need policy. This is something where we need access to products, We walk into spaces where we're like, oh, okay, so where are the sanitary products? Where are they? We need them. We menstruate every month. Half of the population menstruates every month. So it's really about that passion you have. So even if it's like you love listening to music, how do you give back to young children who want to play music or sing? You can give back in any capacity with your own passion, and I think that's very fundamental.
Yeah. Lerai, your bio I find absolutely interesting. So the Instagram bio, and you can follow her on Instagram. I'm sure we're going to have those social media handles out there. Obviously following Mum Wendy as well, who is... So, let's go to your Instagram bio. It reads, using my influence to drive impact and change. Break that down for me. What does that mean, and how are you doing it?
Well, I love the running theme for today, which is really vision and purpose, and everything that I do. A lot of people tell me, wow, you're so young and you do so much. And I think the basis and the foundation of everything that makes me who I am is my purpose. I started finding out and discovering what my purpose was from a very young age, and that's what has fueled everything that I do. And when I started building a following on Instagram, I found that people were labeling me as an influencer, and I wasn't really comfortable with that, because I always felt as if, okay, well, I'm not just an influencer because I have a lot of followers on Instagram. I want to be somebody that has influence within my community and within other people's communities because of something that I'm doing. And all of that is purpose-driven. So I want to, in everything that I do, drive social change. I actually wanted to say impact and social change, but I couldn't put in all the characters in the bio because I had to put everything else in. But that's really what it's based on. It's my purpose and what I want to do. So whenever in any space that I'm in, and on any platform that I've been given the opportunity to be a part of, like this one, I always make sure that it is in line with my purpose.
I can relate to that. I think a lot of the time society misconceives that, you know, influencers are these people who just like, you know, promote things, but you can be a thought influencer. And I think Lerai is a thought influencer because she allows people to think differently about the world they live in and then allows them to make critical decisions. So I think it's about owning that thing and saying, yeah, I might be an influencer, but I'm using influence for good.
Exactly.
You know, and social change.
Exactly.
So don't use the labels for wrong. I think we also need to just take those misconceptions out there as well. Yeah.
I must say, when I met these ladies this morning, I had a chat with them just to find out what they do. And I was quite intrigued that Candice is the minister of menstruation. When I was growing up, I think it was taboo to talk about that. One could never make a career out of it. So I think this just, is so aligned to what I was saying, that what is it that makes sense to you? What is your purpose? What is the thing that you really, is tugging at your heart and you really want to do that? When you just do it, it becomes so easy. You know, if the why is big enough, it's so much easier just to implement the how part. And I loved speaking to Lerai. Immediately I was sending my daughter. I was saying, yo, follow Lerai, follow Candice. She must have thought, what's wrong with this lady? Because when I was talking to them, they opened up so much, and there's so much out there that young people can do. I mean, Lerai was telling me the things that she's doing. I was blown away. There's so much that you can do out there. You know, we lived in those times where they told us you must be a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant. And actually, I spent the first 3 years of my life trying to study a BA accounting because I was working in the bank, and I kept on failing accounting and economics until one day I realized, this is not for me. Can I just try studying something that works for me? And I'm not even using a lot of what I studied in my degree. It's really about the passion. It's really about the purpose. It's really about what you like, and then you follow through, And I think that's what I like about this YouthX platform, is to help young people out there to unlock their potential. Do what you like. Do what makes sense to you. And then the money follows you through. I'm a woman of faith, and there's a scripture that says, we're not supposed to quote scriptures, but it's good for me. That's who I am. It says, you first seek, and then all these other things follow. So with you, do your purpose. The rest will follow. Not, I want money, and then the rest follows. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
Mom Wendy was talking about the things we didn't talk about as kids. I mean, menstruation was one, a taboo subject. As a woman, you go through various changes, and a lot of these changes are new to you, but you don't know how to have that open conversation with a parent about it. But the other things that we don't have open conversations with is money. And what happens in the household, how the money comes in, how it's been spent. Because you're a kid. I mean, you're in your teens, you're going through life and various things, but you don't know how things are happening. Let's talk about you, Candice, and your upbringing. I mean, was the topic of money something that was spoken about openly? And when did you start having those honest questions or conversations about it?
I think money was seen as like this, scary entity that, you always have to have it. And if you don't have it, then the world is ending, and never really seeing it as a catalyst for change. And I mean, we've never had really interesting conversations about investing and saving. Even in an educational background, I think I would have benefited a lot from learning about saving money and investing if I was, like in life orientation, if that was embedded in those type of subjects. So when I also look at it in the black, like in my household in particular, money was just really a hush-hush subject. And I think it's the same way I also approach it. When I get money, I'm just like, okay, so, how do we put some here, save some here, and then that's it. I don't think there's ever like a full-on practical conversation about what we can use the money to just, invest or save or help build or help the family, because it's always just, it's a quiet conversation. It's almost as if it's a taboo because everyone is so scared to talk about it. So, it's been a very hush conversation. But now with Mom Wendy in my life, Gonna talk about it all the time. Gonna talk about it all the time.
Lerai, your story?
I think for me it was a little bit different. I was raised by a single parent, my mother, and she is literally my matriarch. So I have gone through life literally seeing her own life and learned from those lessons that she's been learning. And I've watched my mother being in debt and coming out of that in that process. And I think the main thing that my mother taught me was that, Lerai, don't be in debt from the beginning. The thing of taking out a loan and all of that, why do that when you can buy something cash, you know? And that's why, so from a young age, from when I started working at like 15 years old, I mean, all the money that I have been getting from my little side hustles and stuff, I don't need that money. You know, I still live under my mother's roof. I don't need to be spending all this money and getting fancy stuff. I've never been like that. So why not invest it? Or why not save it? And I think recently I had this conversation with somebody about saving versus investing, because we have that 30% rule. And what sort of, there was a light bulb moment that said, actually, well, when you save your money, it actually depletes, it decreases in value because of inflation. But when you invest it, it does the complete opposite. And it was like, okay, well, it's sort of like putting my money under my mattress. Nothing's going to happen to it, but over time, the value is going to go down as opposed to investing. So I'm on a journey right now where, well, I don't need to use my money right now. Where can I invest my money? And I was actually saying this to Mom Wendy. I was like, Mom Wendy, I also need her in my life to just help me out with the basics of that, because I think what we need as young people, speaking for my generation, is that we don't really have that basic information. We hear all these things about trading, about blah, 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 blah. Where do I start? Because there's so much that you can learn about finances and everything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so Lerai, you're in the right place, because this is what we will do in the next sessions. We will address all those issues, and I'm hoping that the young people at home are also sending us the topics that they'd like us to address, so that, you know, we're not telling you what we think is good for you, but we're also addressing the issues that are your pain points when it comes to money. And I mean, I was sharing with Natasha earlier on to say, you know, where I grew up, our parents didn't speak to us about money. We just saw that everything was well run and everything. But the one thing I remember very well is that my father planted seeds in my mind. And I think as parents, we have that thing of planting seeds in our children's mind, and then they lodge in the subconscious mind. And then as they grow up, as they live out life, we haven't empowered them on how to use their money, and then they want to literally live out what is in their subconscious mind. Probably they grew up poor, and then the parents were saying, we're taking you to school, Wendy, you will be our savior. And that is why you find young people today, they talk about black tax. There's no such thing. It's because they haven't understood why they should be assisting their families. It's because it's seeds that were planted by their parents, and they don't understand why they should be helping out at home. And also, they haven't been given the skills to say, okay, when you get your income, which percentage should go towards what, and which percentage should go towards what. And, you know, there is this principle that I always share. I call it the 7-10-10-10 principle. And I really say the first 10% is the 10% that you give. If you are a believer like me, you give your 10%. If you're not a believer, you're not forced to give the 10% to the church. You take that 10%. There are many people out there who are in need. You take that 10%, you give. Or you take that 10%, you use it as what you call black tax. The issue here is to engage with our parents, is to start the conversation respectfully, to say, I've started, I'm still new, this is a new job, and I'll be able to give you 10% of my income every month. I promise you, without fail, you can expect 10%, whatever that number is. And what it does also, it begins to help your family to also limit their expectations from you, because they know. And if they want, and if you, let's say for argument's sake, you're giving them 1,000 rand a month, and they want to buy a fridge, you tell them, if the fridge is 3,000, you'll have to save for 4 months so that you can buy the fridge. cash. You know, we begin to do that. And then you take the second 10%, you put it in what I call active income, where you actively work with the 10%. Either you save it, you invest it, or you invest in yourself. You get an education, or you start a side hustle. And the third 10%, you put it in what we call passive income. This is what we were talking about, in shares, in stocks, and in all these weird and wonderful things. And then you live off the 70%. Obviously, you can do the percentages according to your needs and according to what your family situation is, but at least you've got a structure of what you do with your money every month. And then that starts shaping your journey. And actually, you start telling your children, hey, Ma, I want 3 pairs of shoes. Nana, I can only afford one pair of shoes.
70%. Yeah, I love that structure. I think as young people, I think like we get so influenced by how everyone else is living, and then we have to live up to those expectations. You know, we're always seeing, you know, young people are out like new shoes, new everything, and so we feel the need to live up to that expectation. But I think that structure helps because now you can also establish the boundaries. And I think with families, in particular Black families, it's really important in saying, I can only give you 10% and work with that, and let's see how we can help each other. But I love that structure. I'm implementing it like right now.
A lot of information getting unlocked now.
Yeah, I actually needed to bring a notebook and just like
And write.
I was taking notes on my phone.
Career breakthroughs are so important because, you know, you can find the why and start working at it. But there comes a point where the career breakthrough happens where somebody's starting to take notice, where you suddenly start to notice that the things that you've been doing, the little seeds you've been planting, are starting to make a difference. Maybe not a big difference, but a small difference, and you can work from there. Candice, when did that breakthrough come where, you know, you found the problem, you wanted to address it, and then you started working at it, and then you saw the change?
It was as I was creating Curate. I was like, I found the problem, and let me just create this entity to be able to work through it. And I knew that I was going to do this by myself. I started initially with the workshops by myself, and then the team with a photographer, and obviously we legally had 2 directors, but I was leading the workshops by myself. And the power of content creation and documenting everything led people to come and join. So most of the facilitators that we have in Curate right now are from them following Curate and saying, I want to do this, I want to give back. So the breakthrough came through when I realized that, hey, a lot of people are affected by this issue of menstruation and the period taboo. And let's have more people join by sharing that knowledge. So it was just training facilitators and training and then doing more workshops. And that for me was the breakthrough in people started saying, you know what, this is something we're not speaking about. And let's now bring her on board to talk about this on TV interviews, presentations. And it's just been so phenomenal having that recognition about something that should be kept silent and just breaking through that stigma. So I'm really just thankful for the journey, and it's obviously a very learning journey because every day in, day out, I'm learning things, and I never take failure as an end all to my life. I take it as an opportunity to bounce back. So I see life as an elastic, and when I do fail or if I do experience a breakthrough, I just bounce back stronger. So yeah, that has been an amazing, just the breakthrough has been phenomenal, just getting that recognition, but more than anything, seeing the smiles of the people we impact directly. It's daily motivation.
Lerai?
I think for me personally, well, I'm still at the beginning of my career, but where I started seeing convergence was where I started working as a model, doing campaigns, and throughout being with those people and the spaces that I was maneuvering, there was always the conversation that I was having with people based on purpose. And I can actually pinpoint the certain dates where the first sort of sportswear brand campaign that I did was in 2019, August. And we started having these conversations about, you know, culture, you know, doing it for the culture and just your purpose in general. And fast forward to exactly 1 year later, August 2020, we started our web series called Culture Conversations. And all of that happened behind the scenes while I was doing all my other gigs and stuff. And now I've got a web series with 2 amazing brands that have jumped on board. And why? It's because you have those conversations in the spaces that you're maneuvering, that you always are walking in your purpose. You're always telling people what you're about, what your vision is about. And I think when we start walking in our purpose every single day in every place that we are in, it will always convert into things that are tangible. You'll always see it coming out to being something.
Mom Wendy, when did you realize that what I'm doing is actually a social need? Like there's a lot that we haven't been telling people about money, or maybe if we have been telling them about money, it's the wrong message, or it needs to be altered in some way.
So for me, like I said, when we started educating people, women, young people in the rural areas, in those forgotten kind of areas, then I thought, oh my goodness, people have been starved of such basic knowledge. And if only, they had received this knowledge or this information much earlier, they would have been able to break free and unlock themselves from the limitations that they think they have because they don't have enough money. And that's when it became a passion for me. And when I left, that role and I became the head of staff banking, I thought, wow, we've been doing this for everybody out there. We forgot our staff members. How about we also do that for our staff? We also begin to impart this knowledge to them, because I then realized that throughout my journey, even though I had worked for a bank for so long, along the way, I had made so many financial mistakes. And I think every time I talk about money, I always love to talk about the mistakes that I made while I was still working in a financial institution, because it does not necessarily mean the knowledge will come by osmosis. You've got to learn it. You earn the money, and then you've got to learn the skills of how to manage it. And you've got to start looking at it differently. And I think the other big thing is the money stories that we have, that we've heard from our parents, or things that we didn't hear from our parents. So when you start working, when you start handling money, if you don't know who you are, where money is concerned, then you will actually do the wrong things. I always say to people, it doesn't matter whether you are handling 1,000 rand or 1,000,000. If you've missed the basic principles, the basic principles of creating a purpose and a vision, the basic principles of budgeting and goal setting, then a person who earns 1,000,000 can make a lot of mistakes, but a person who earns 1,000 rand can multiply it. It's just how you see it. It's just who you are, when it comes to money and what your thinking is. And this brings me to a series that Nedbank they did. It's not a series, but it's one of our brand anchors where we talk about money secrets. And I'm sure many people watch that Money Secrets. And they've got, if you go to www.moneysecrets.co.za, nedbank.moneysecrets.co.za, you can take a quick quiz. And then the quiz tells you who you are. This is who you are when you get money. Yes, when you get your money, do you splash it out? When you get your money, do you buy people gifts? When you get your money, do you take it and hide it in the ceiling, under the bed, and so on? So what it does, it really highlights who you are, where money is. And the power there is that once you know what archetype you are, you're able to work with that, because you can't really change who you are, but you can implement some financial strategies that help you to manage your money well. I mean, as an example, I took the quiz.
Yes. Tell us.
Who are you? I came out as a carer.
Okay.
And carers are those people that will help everyone with their money to a point where they will neglect saving for their family or when things are really bad, they will tap into the money that they have to help people. I'm that person where people know that if I go to Wendy, I can go to her on Friday and say, Wendy, I need 10,000 by Monday morning, 10 o'clock, or else I'm losing my house. And then they go home and they have a peaceful weekend. They know on Monday, Wendy's going to come through for me. And then Wendy here, Friday, I don't sleep. Saturday, I'm calling people. I'm borrowing money. I'm doing all sorts of things because I want to help you. So when I learned who I was, then I could put a nice plan in place to say, me first. So before I help others, I help myself. So that was the power of knowing who I am. And I want to encourage everyone watching, take that money quiz. And as we go through these YouthX, talks, then you can begin to look at who you are, take the advice, take our products and services, then help yourself to achieve everything that you want to achieve, but still being the person that you are. I still help people, but within limits. When I do my monthly budget, I put aside an amount and I say, the first one to ask for it gets it. The rest that follow gets the po. I tell them I'm done for the month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Candice, I mean, yeah, it is. I'm curious to know, how important is the power of collaboration and networking in the space that you're in, where you can't necessarily work by yourself because you want to have an impact, but you can have an impact when we're all working together and we're supporting your vision?
You can't do everything in one day. You can't build Rome by yourself. You unfortunately need other hands to help you. And the same goes for building a social entity and running the social entity. And I find that collaborations with regards to social awareness help so much, because in as much as you have your own audience, so does the other person you're collaborating with. They have their own unique audience. So collaborating drives you further. And I think in particular, I'm seeing a lot of social entities driven by young Black women. And society perceptions say that as young women we have to compete, but I don't agree. When you collaborate, you go further. And I've had fantastic collaborations with a lot of entities such as Grow Up. And I think just joining forces with young Black women and being in that space where you feel like you can support each other is really encouraging, especially with mental health, because we as young people, we have that imposter syndrome and it's very hard to get over. So I really thoroughly recommend collaborating over competing. I don't think you should see your next NGOs or the people that are sort of doing the same thing as you as competition, but rather as collaboration to bring in more impact to more people.
And actually, an example of that, just to apply it to my own life, and with Girl Up, what we did was actually, we formed a coalition between 3 youth organizations. Girl Up Johannesburg, which is the organization that I'm a part of, and then Boys for Action and the Unfiltered Youth. And we created this campaign called 1,000 Girls Campaign, where we're actually raising funds for hygiene and sanitary packages for 1,000 refugee girls in South Africa. And collaboration is key. I remember when we were doing that campaign, we started it at the peak of lockdown. We weren't going to school at all. Everybody in our team was either in matric or younger. So we were all writing prelims and finals. And I found how crazy amazing it was to have a team and people that you can lean on to assist you when you're all under so much pressure. And we because we all collaborated and worked together as human beings and as organizations, we were able to put together all of these hampers. And we've actually, on one of our events that we had, we teamed up with a company that does reusable sanitary pads. And just to bounce back on what you were talking about earlier on, just, about sustainability in general, because I was also very interested in that. And it was so crazy to see how when we went into into this community in Hillbrow, the girls, when we told them, okay, guys, we're going to give you reusable sanitary pads, they were like, how does this thing work? And imagine how reusable. So it doesn't make sense, and we did a talk, and the ladies at the company actually did a demonstration for them. And I kid you not, everybody came out of that day so excited, so happy, and so grateful for what we put together and worked on, you know. So in that sense, we wouldn't have impacted those 25 girls' lives with that simple donation that we made if we didn't collaborate as human beings, if we didn't collaborate as organizations, and people didn't bring their donations forth. Collaboration is key. And you can't see social change if you don't work with other people. You know, community is really what makes us who we are. Community is what creates change.
Yeah, and
you
just
know?
to add on to what Lerai is saying, I think also in the building and the implementation of that strategy, even if you're donating, you can't have all the skills to yourself. Like I might only be good with the research and the the policy, and Lerai might be phenomenal on social media. So the collaboration works because you can easily delegate those tasks. Because if you take on everything at once, burnout is a thing, and you don't want to be experiencing burnout early on with your NGO.
Not at all.
It's just, you rather just delegate. And I think sometimes we are so hesitant to give that trust, but trust the process, trust the people you're working with, trust the fact that they've got you and they've got your entity and they've got their own entity, and you can collaborate and make it work. Yeah.
I just want to say, collaboration is not just about, organizations. Even when we talk about personal money growth, you can collaborate with like-minded people to achieve your goals much quicker. Sometimes when you are saving alone or investing alone, it can get so lonely, you get discouraged. If you know that you're not a person who is principled, why don't you find like-minded people? You group yourselves and you start collaborating and saving together towards a common goal. These days people are saving together to buy property, to invest. So, this saving, this investing, this unlocking your potential, you don't have to go it alone. You can find other people. You collaborate together. You come together, and you achieve your goals much faster with collaboration. So I think this theme of collaboration works everywhere.
Sort of like a stokvel, because
Yeah,
that's
but
immediately what I just thought.
That's exactly a stokvel.
Yeah.
And a stokvel is not about burial.
Yes.
The first stokvels that I belonged to was all about death. Why don't we just have a stokvel about life?
Yes.
A stokvel about achieving and unlocking all those powerful and awesome things we want to achieve, and then we save together, and then we do these great things.
I think I'm going to open a stokvel for traveling.
Oh,
'Cause
yes.
I want to travel.
Oh, yes.
So I
Right?
can imagine opening a stokvel for traveling with young friends and just saying every month we're dedicating and pledging.
This much,
Just
saving
changing-
this much towards our lives.
Changing the perceptions of what stokvels used to be into positive things that have positive outcomes for our lives. I should have brought that notebook.
Write it down. We need to take notes of it somewhere.
So, you were talking, Lerai, about lockdown bans, and immediately I started thinking COVID-19 pandemic, where a lot of bad happened in terms of we lost so many lives because of the situation that we still find ourselves in. However, it was also an opportunity for one to start having honest conversations about themselves with money. And we want to get to a point where at the end of this, when that Q&A starts, people are now starting to ask questions because we've inspired something. Okay. Before we get to that, we've got about a couple of minutes left. Mom Wendy, let's start off with you. The honest conversation that one can start having round about now, after everything we've all been through, after this kind of conversation and the talk that we've heard from you.
The honest conversation is for you to really look at where you are. I think COVID exposed a lot of people to the fact that they were not saving enough. They didn't have an emergency fund. They really had not thought that something like this could happen. I think one needs to sit and say, what if in the next 5 to 10 years we have another pandemic? Where will it find me? Will I still be in the same position that I was in? What is it that I need to do? I need to rethink. I need to repurpose. I need to spend my money more wisely. I need to apply prudence. And who else to help you? We have the expertise.
Lerai, a tip using social media. You've done such an amazing job using that. How do we as young people use social media to have the impact we want to have?
I think, like I said earlier, it's all based off of your purpose, A lot of the time people go into social media and say, okay, well, I want to be an influencer. And the first thing that people say to you is, okay, find your niche. Are you going to be a comedian? Are you going to be into lifestyle and beauty or whatever it is? But I think it's way beyond that. The same way people buy into businesses, it's all about your story. It's all about your purpose, and it's all about your vision. And I think on social media, you can't lie. There's only so much that you can lie about in life in general. And the only way that you can be consistent with building a social media and actually creating that impact and being somebody that is influential is by living in your purpose and having a true story that you are, telling people. And so every day, everything that I post on my social media has something to do with my purpose. It reflects my life. It reflects the work that I do as well. So on social media, go onto social media, be authentic, be in your purpose.
Candice, quick point. Where do I start? Social sustainability in that aspect.
It's about looking within your communities and seeing what issues affect you and the people who live in that community, and saying what you can do in your own capacity and through collaboration, what the people you're collaborating with can do in helping and changing the society you live in. Like I said, it's about, I found the issue through reading. I mean, yes, I've been menstruating for like 11 years at the time, but it was through reading that pivoted me to say, let me solve this issue. Let me be on the ground. Let me create these workshops. So really just make a list of frustrating issues that are affecting you and see how you can resolve them in a sustainable way.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's really been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much. Of course, to my right, Wendy Selebi, we have Lerai Rakoditsoe. I did not want to butcher your name.
You didn't.
I didn't. And then, of course, Candice Jira sharing their story. And thank you so much once again. Now I'm going to pass on the baton to our beautiful MC who's been doing a fantastic job hosting us this morning. Over to you, Pam.
Thank you so much, ladies. It was indeed a power panel. It was a girl power panel. Thank you so much, ladies. There's more in store for you coming from Nedbank and YouthX in a moment. I hope today's session was nothing short of informative and inspiring. Here's to stepping into your power and unlocking your full potential. Remember to keep it unlocked to the web app because you can still win big. Watch episodes, of course, and be inspired. This is how we officially wrap up, ladies and gents. If you are a part of the media, please do stick around for 2 minutes and you can join the media room through the link that will pop up on your screen in 2 minutes. My name is Pamela Mtanga. Thank you for being such an amazing audience.